topic is incarceration and social justice. And of course, we're talking to the Metropolitan Council person of Nashville, Tennessee, Jerry Maynard. And of course, Jerry, let us continue our conversation, give you an opportunity over the last 10 minutes to sort of free will it with us, and give us some information that you think that we ought to have, you see, because you know what we need to know.
Well, Dr. Haynes, I appreciate this opportunity to talk. Social justice and incarceration is all linked, and as we talked about, it's all connected. Housing and where you are housed, and whether you have transportation, access to public transportation, to jobs, to schools, to healthcare, it's connected. If you look at healthcare disparities, when you send a child to school and that child is malnutrition, or that child is sick, or that child does not have primary health care, or the parents are sick, or grandparents are sick, that impacts on that child's experience. When you have adults who don't have jobs, when you have adults who don't feel like they have a hope for a job, that's connected. When you don't have economic development, which is job creation in a particular setting, if you don't have affordable housing,
that's right.
It all connects to social injustice. It all connects to incarceration of our young men and women. It all connects to men and women engaged in destructive behavior. It all connected to them joining gangs. See, you have to deal with all those aspects. You can't just have police officers going around arresting people. You really have to deal with job creation. You have to deal with education and the dropout rate. You have to deal with health care, and you have to deal with housing. And also, what is important is you have to give people hope.
Good.
President Barack Obama's election was mind-blowing because it gives people hope that if Barack Obama can be the first African-American president, that I can achieve anything.
Good.
And it opens your mind and gives you hope. And I think it's going to give hope to just a generation of people to say, if Barack Obama can do it, then I can become whatever God has for me, and believe that they are no longer limited.
All right.
Right? Limited by racism, limited by sexism, limited by where their neighborhood is. This is a man that grew up with a single mother. So we can't say that because I grew up in a single mother household, or the project or whatever, I can't achieve. So that's the greatest thing about Barack Obama, is it gives hope to so many people. And so it also makes us accountable. And I was going to say to you in the last segment, I thank God for this opportunity. We have to look at not only Barack Obama getting elected, but now it is important for us who are elected at local office to be accountable, to look at why do we still have healthcare disparities? Why do we still have a high dropout rate among African-American males? Why do we still have joblessness the way it is? What are we doing for economic development in our cities? What are we doing for affordable housing? And if you're an elected official and we see that things aren't getting better, it may be time for you to move on. Or it may be time for us to elect somebody else, because under your watch, things aren't getting better. And so I'm encouraging young people to get involved in politics. I had some seminars back in 2006 and 2007, 35 and under, where I taught Politics 101, where I was trying to train young people to run for office, to run for council, to run for countywide office, run for state representative, run for an office so that you can make a difference to change the lives of people in Davidson County and in the state of Tennessee. It's no longer good enough to say, I want to be reelected because I want to be reelected. Or don't run against me because I want to get reelected. That's not good enough. We want to know, what's your record? What have you done? What have you produced? Whose life have you changed for the better? That's why we should reelect you. And you shouldn't reelect me, Dr. Haynes. You shouldn't vote for me if I'm not producing. You better believe it. So I'm not just looking and celebrating Barack Obama as president. I'm looking for some results.
And I think the results will come.
Amen.
I believe that everything that I've heard tend to indicate that a lot of folks have found inspiration in reference to this. I know I teach at Tennessee State University, and talking to students there, that many of them have they have a better understanding and a better feeling in terms of their own responsibilities.
Called empowerment.
And I think that you're caught up in it, and I know that I'm caught up in it. That it's a real responsibility that all of us have now.
I want to develop the leaders that are coming up. I don't care where they live. I don't care if they're in the projects. I don't care if they're in wherever they live. I don't care if they have a single parent, no parent, two parent. It doesn't matter. You can achieve. And what we want to do is provide the teaching, the training, the empowerment, and also the love, right?
Thank you. That's an important ingredient in it, brother. I think that you understand that. That's very, very important.
So that they can achieve, and they can become the leaders not only of tomorrow, but the leaders of today. And so I want to make sure that the generation behind me, I'm calling on people to take up the banner, take up the banner and begin to look at these issues that we've talked about. One of the great issues that we've been dealing with as pastors is we started Pastors for Prevention of HIV and AIDS, which is a social justice issue.
Okay.
You know who's the #1 carrier of HIV and AIDS is African American women.
That's right, females.
Females. So what we have to do is, as pastors, we came together last year. We tested over 500 people in our congregation to test for HIV and AIDS, because testing is important. And then we want to engage in how do we prevent the spread of HIV and AIDS? How do we prevent that? So as pastors, we have to engage in social justice. And that's one of the things that we have to do, is be proactive. Be proactive. Whatever your issue is, get out there and see if you can find a solution. Not just talk about it, but get things done.
You know, that's one of the complaints that I've heard, and we've had dozens of AIDS and HIV shows here, but that's one of the major complaints that we've heard. That is, the church is not really taking an active role in reference to this, and as a matter of fact, some will go so far as to say that the church are even helping to reinforce the stigmas that are generally associated with that. And certainly I appreciate what you're saying in reference to this, that the church can get involved, and we ought to be involved.
In fact, I was at a planning meeting today, and we are planning our next event. It will be in June, and where we're going to have a faith-based symposium on HIV and AIDS. It's going to be church leaders and pastors and ministers coming along with the mayor and the Department of Health. And we're going to be working together, and we're going to do another day of testing in our churches, Pastors for Prevention. And this is to help give awareness to HIV and AIDS. I got a daughter, I've got a mother, and I've got a wife. And I'm really concerned about the fact that women now are the #1 carriers. And so they don't get it by themselves, Dr. Haynes.
That's right.
So we have to do what we can in order to teach, educate, empower, and also prevent the spread. And that's a huge social justice issue.
So you seem to be very, very optimistic in terms of our ability to be able to do this. Do you think that we can actually do it, that we have the resources and things that are necessary to carry out a responsibility kind of agenda?
Look what happened to Barack Obama. He raised over $700 million with small gifts. People giving $5 and $10. You know, the remarkable thing about Barack Obama is that he had rich people, poor people, black, white, Hispanic, Asian. He had the young and the old. He inspired them to become organizers and to get their community. He had people who were 90 years old who had never voted. He had people who were 19 years old who never voted. And so if he can do it, we can do it. Jesus started with 12 disciples and changed the world. So I know that we can change Nashville for the better if all of us get engaged and begin to provide leadership and provide service to our community at the level that we can do it.
And you think we're ready for the council?
If we're not ready for it, those who are not ready, get out of the way.
All right.
If you're an elected official, you're not providing leadership, step down. Or what we'll do is we'll get somebody to run against you.
All right.
But the time has come now for our elected officials to step up or get out of the way. It's time for our pastors to step up and to lead and to take on this banner of social justice, take on the issue of incarceration.
Okay, very good. And of course, we've got about 2 minutes, and that gives you 2 minutes to sort of summarize some of the things that you're planning on doing and some of the things that you'd like to see done during your administration over the entire city area.
Sure. My agenda is this. It's to have an affordable housing ordinance, that we will deal with affordable housing. It is also to deal with healthcare disparities and support Metro General Hospital that provides healthcare for those persons who can pay and those persons who cannot pay. We need to support. That's a social issue. That's a moral issue, supporting Metro General Hospital. The other thing I'm dealing with is to decrease the dropout rate among African-American males, to provide mentoring and programs for them, to deal with those persons who've already been to jail, make sure they don't go back to jail for the prodigal son. For Pastors for Prevention of HIV and AIDS, testing, education in our churches where it belongs. We talk about everything else, cancer. We talk about money. We talk about all kind of other things.
That's right.
We need to talk about AIDS and HIV.
That really having an impact on us.
And so I'm dealing with those particular issues, and the final issue is creating jobs in the inner city.
Okay.
Economic development is a key part of where I want to encourage companies to hire urban people. Don't be afraid, and also to encourage people to get jobs and do what they need to do to get those jobs.
Over this last minute, you know, we had these young folks here, and what they're saying is that we would give up the dope, the packs, and the whole thing if we had a job and if we had some support. And I think that the idea of dealing with this urban unemployment, especially among the disadvantaged, is one of the things that can really change the way things are. And of course, we're running out of time, and let me thank you, Councilman, for bringing by that excellent information and the enthusiasm, with which you brought that information.
Thank you,
and we certainly appreciate that, and we'll be able to carry this on. And we'll let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you, and good morning.